What's up, everybody? Got Mr. Ryan Cook with me tonight, the final member of the Talisman with me. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. And like I told you earlier, you had Jeremy on Monday, Philip on Tuesday, you got me on Wednesday. This is the official Talisman trifecta, is it not?
Yeah, I feel like Thor getting the final Infinity Stone. Like, it's finally complete now that I got Ryan on here.
I
So
love it.
looking forward to, diving into some cool info with you.
This is great. Man, thanks so much for having me. And, I'm going to try to not talk and just let you ask the questions and I'll only answer. But I will say before we start, thank you for having me. And, you've always been such a nice guy and we have so many mutual acquaintances. I'm happy to be here. So thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Of course, dude. Yeah, this is, I try to keep these things real low pressure. To me, this is just two guys hanging out, having a good time on Zoom for an hour. So, it's what better way to spend your time when you're stuck in your house all day?
I know. Here I am. Yeah. Me and my Christmas tree and my cats.
I'm digging the scarf, man. That's cool. Is that one of the ones you got?
So can I tell you something about the scarf? I'm glad you mentioned that because this is just me being weird. I'm sitting by a window, but I love having the fireplace on behind me, and I want to have both things. I love the fresh air and I love the fireplace, and that's why I'm in a t-shirt and a scarf. So judge me if you will, but that's why I'm doing it.
Hey man, the temperature struggle is a real thing in the household, man. So I get that. I'll have the AC blasting on like 65 in the house and then bundle up, and it's like you could just turn the AC off, and it's like, no,
I love it.
That's not how this works. Just so no judgment from me on that. I totally get it. Yeah. I get it. So we're gonna get to hang out next weekend down in Sarasota, Florida. Beyond excited.
I can't wait. You know what the cool thing is? I love that. And the cool thing is we will be in the same room together, not like this, which I love. And you and I have so many mutual acquaintances. I love it. It's going to be great. And I think, do I remember right? Are we playing together, you and I?
Yes, we are playing together. I think that you're going to make an appearance in, which everybody's heard it the last couple nights. I'm playing in Kurt Frolic from LA Guns band that night. And Mr. Ryan Cook has been nice enough to join us for a song or two that evening.
So will you tell the world and I what I'm doing that night?
He's playing bass.
Okay.
Playing bass. We, out of everything that could happen that weekend, we can say that we scored a bass song or two from Ryan Cook. You don't get to see that often.
Never in your life. I love it. Oh, this is great. And listen, I'm not going to ask what songs we're doing because it's just fun to leave elements of surprise. Not that it's that big of a deal, but I can't wait to do it. And it's going to be awesome. What a great weekend. I'm so glad you're going to be there.
Yeah, man. It was, so how it kind of happened was I was already planning on coming as just a fan. I've never been to a KISS cruise. I've never been to a KISS Expo before. So I was like, no fucking way am I missing this. As bad as this year has been, I've got to go to Florida. And, going to Florida in December, who wouldn't want to go do that anyway? So then a few days later, after I'd already bought my tickets to go down there and book my hotel room, I interviewed Kurt Frolic on the show. And me and Kurt had never met before until that interview. And it was maybe 30 minutes after that interview, which of course me and him are signed to the same label. And, so we see a lot of the same stuff coming out of the camp. And so it was like 30, 40 minutes after that interview, Mr. Neil Davis, one of the promoters from Kissmas 2020, sent me a text, and he was like, because Kurt lives in Orlando, he was like, hey man, since Kurt lives in Orlando, what if you guys came down and played an acoustic set together at the Kissmas Expo? And I'm just like jumping with joy. I'm fucking all for the idea. But then comes the part where I'm like, well, fuck, I just talked to Kurt Frolic for the first time like an hour ago. Like, we have no association. So I was like, all right, let's see how I can handle this. And I was like, I'm going to have to talk to Kurt and see what he even thinks about it, because he doesn't know who the fuck I am, let alone going and playing a gig with me. And so talked to Kurt and ended up, he was all for the idea as well. And because he's a big Kiss fan as well. He played Ace in a tribute called
sure.
Black Diamond for
Sure.
a long time. And so
Right.
it just kind of snowballed from after that. Now we're doing a full band set. We've got the drummer from my GNR tribute is going to be playing drums for us that night, Mr. Garrett Ramsden. And then me and Kurt are splitting lead vocals and lead guitar. And then we have a bunch of awesome people like yourself coming up and handling the bass duties for us throughout the night.
I love it. It's so great. Really, really cool. This is going to be awesome.
Dude, I'm the sentiment is very genuine when I say this might be the most excited I've ever been about a gig. So, because I love it. Some of that has to do with, none of us have really been able to gig this year. I've done probably 4, 5, or 6 gigs since March, which that's usually a normal week for me when everything's not like the way it is. So it's let alone the fact that I don't get to play a lot nowadays because just like anybody else, but the fact that it's a Kiss Expo as well, man, it's like the perfect cherry on top.
Oh, it's great. No, I know. The weird thing was, as far as Phil and Jeremy and I go, and the way this whole year went, we expected to have January through April off. And we thought we were going to leave. We were scheduled to leave with Ace in May and then finish out the year. It didn't happen. I'll need to go into it. We all know why. This is just pretty cool that we can do this safely. Even though that it's, people can view the show live, it's very limited. Yeah. And the cool thing is with the meathook.live thing, people can watch them around the world is even really, really great. And we're just happy to be there with you and all the rest of the guys like Bruce and Todd, Enough's Enough, Rick Derringer, Jean Beauvoir. I mean, Eddie Trunk's hosting this whole thing. How great is this going to be? It's going to be a lot of fun.
Dude, and we have to give a bunch of kudos to Brian Bell and Neil Davis for the effort that they have put into making sure that everybody feels comfortable that's going to be at this event in person. Yeah. Because as we know, there are places you can go play shows right now that are a little more open. But from what I've seen for the most part, people are still kind of skeptical, and rightfully so, about going out right now. But they've done a really awesome job about making this a very well socially distanced event while at the same time keeping a very live aspect to it.
Yeah, they really have. And the cool thing is Neil has been, fortunately for me, reaching out on a daily basis about stuff. But this is also info that he shared is, they're very COVID aware. Whether you're for that or against that, doesn't matter. That's going to happen during this event. If you have a ticket and you show up, that's great. You will be tested on the spot, and they have the technology, or whatever you want to call it, to decide on the spot whether you're positive or negative. It's a good thing, but it's very limited capacity, which is why Meat Hook has been great for people around the world and the whole deal. So we're trying to do it safely, but we're trying to also do it in a way that we understand that people want to hear and see music, but so do we. It's part selfish. We want to play as much as people want to see this stuff. So, and you're part of this. Brandon, you're going to be down there. You're part of this. It's a big deal. Yeah. And people are going to enjoy it. And people need to know that we're trying to be as cautious and careful as we can all the time. And if something got so bad that it wasn't safe and we couldn't do it, well, there you go.
Of course, and that kind of plays into the whole live streaming aspect, which has become such a huge part of the entertainment industry just over the past 10 months since all of this really began. And that's kind of the cool thing about this event is, there's only going to be, I think, 150 people allowed into the gig. Right. And that sounds like a lot, but when that's only like 15% capacity of the place, it's a huge place. So 150 people are still going to be able to socially distance throughout this event. And a lot of stuff is happening outdoors, which is even better. Yeah, there's actually not that much stuff going on inside the venue. It's a lot catered to outdoors, which is cool. And, there's people for or against it, but it's like, that's just the way things have to be right now. And, if if that's all it takes for me to be able to go play a show, then that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So I would rather deal with these regulations than just have to sit at home completely, you know? And like you said, if it wasn't safe, we wouldn't be doing it at all. But fortunately, they've put the effort into it to making everybody feel comfortable. And as far as the live streaming goes, the quality is going to be absolutely outstanding with Meat Hook, because I mean, MTV uses them for one of their reality shows and all the other stuff that they handle. So you're getting literally a pay-per-view quality event out of literally a $12 ticket for this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Brian and Neil, Brian and Neil have gone, I mean, they've spared no expense to do this right. And I knew about this from day one because Philip Schaus and Neil worked on this together. And I was receiving info on a need-to-know basis, right?
Yeah. Which
was fine with me. I mean, why not? But boy, I mean, you know, I know both those guys. They're top-notch. But I was beyond impressed with what's going down to make this event happen. It's pretty cool. It's like I wouldn't be doing it and endorsing it and saying I'd be part of it if I didn't think it was an okay thing to do.
Absolutely.
And I just absolutely love it. I'm glad you're going to be there.
Yeah, man, I'm beyond grateful that Neil asked me to be a part of this. So, like I told you, man, let alone is this my first Kiss Expo I've ever been to, but I'm getting to play at it. So it's just beyond fantastic. So I can't wait. And we put together an awesome set list. And the one thing that you guys that play the cruises and all this stuff always say is you can't dig deep enough for these people at these events. No, so it's not like, oh, well, this band's getting to do this song and we're stuck with this. It's like, no, especially being huge Kiss fans ourselves, you're excited about any of these songs that you get to hear at these events. So it's going to be a good time, and I'm looking forward to hanging with everybody.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll score me some cool merchandise that I can add to all this cool shit I got sitting behind me. It was funny whenever I talked to.
You know what? That's one of my favorite things. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about doing any Kiss related event is the swag. My favorite stuff, which I'll get slapped for that Gene doesn't like. I love the crazy bootlegged weird stuff.
Dude, yeah. Hell yeah, man.
I love the weird t-shirt that says, it has the original 4, but says, lick it up. Or something like that. I just love that stuff. Or, even more, the shirt that says Animalize and has a picture of Van Halen.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Let's get that stuff.
What was the one that was just going around? I think it said Led Zeppelin on it and had the Love Gun picture on it.
Yeah.
That shit's hilarious. And I'm all for the bootlegs as well. You can't really see it because of the screen, but I've got a bunch back there. I've got I'll send you some pictures after we get off, but I've got these 4 albums that are from Yugoslavia that are all demos and outtakes that have each of their pictures on it. I sent Jeremy a copy of the Paul Stanley one. And then I've also got a copy of Creatures of the Night that's a bootleg that's got Vinnie Vincent on the cover, and it's on purple vinyl. Wow. I sent Phil and Jeremy that as well. Yeah, man, it's so I'm all for the bootlegs. I can understand why they aren't though. So.
Oh, I do too. I understand, but as a fan, just wearing something ironic, like I said, something like that, it's like sometimes they could say God of Thunder and have a picture of Pat Benatar on it, and I would buy it.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, it's all part of the pie, so it's cool.
It is.
So cool, man. We'll go ahead and jump into some of these questions I got prepared for you. There's only about 4 hours worth, so you're in luck today.
Oh, that's 2 hours less than I thought it'd be. It's great. Okay, great.
Cool. So
I love it.
You grew up in Topeka, Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. So
I sure did.
What were some of your first rock and roll experiences? Your kind of, that kind of pushed you in this direction.
Well, let me tell you a couple things to let everybody give a reference to where I'm at. I'm going to be 51 on December 19th in 2 weeks. Okay.
Nice.
So I was born December 19th, 1969. So while I am still a 70s baby or 60s baby officially on paper in the 60s, I'm a 70s kid. You know, I was right there at the end of the 60s. Growing up in Topeka, the first music I remember hearing is CCR's Down the Corner.
Nice.
I remember standing in the front seat of my mom and dad's car and hearing that song. Kiss is the first thing I really do remember being like such a big deal to me that I just went nuts over. But I will tell you this, my grandmother was one of she was the head cleaning lady. Sophia Cuevas was the head cleaning lady at the Municipal Auditorium.
Nice.
And they would, every night, Monday through Friday, my grandma and her crew would go through and clean there, which meant I had 24/7 access to the Municipal Auditorium in Topeka.
Very nice.
So as my grandma would work from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night, my sis and I would skateboard on the marble floors, do everything, and also we get unlimited access to every event that happened in the Municipal Auditorium. The Harlem Globetrotters, the Daryl Starbird Rod and Hus Custom Show. My first concert, Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Nice.
With Jay Ferguson opening. Remember, remember Thunder Island?
I don't think I'm familiar with that. I'll have to check it out.
They opened. Jay Ferguson opened. He looked like magician Doug Henning. And that's why I loved him so much. And I love that song. But anyway, that was my first concert. And Grandma snuck us in everywhere. I saw in my seat of choice was stage left, front row, balcony. So I could just sit there on the front. I saw Cheap Trick there, same
Nice.
seats. I saw Rush there,
Oh, wow.
same seats. I saw Kansas there. My uncle Henry, godfather, was the head security for the governor of Kansas. I remember him taking me there and giving me this weird sticky satin pass and putting it on my jeans. And I ran around backstage when I was 11.
Dude, that is fantastic.
So as much as people don't know Topeka, Kansas, it's like it had a big influence on me in the bands that I saw growing up.
That is awesome. So what was your first exposure to Kiss as a kid?
It was the People's Choice Awards.
Okay.
You know how I always joke that I was the remote control, because when I was a kid growing up, you know, there people have this now, right?
Yeah, you had the dials back then.
But they also had me. It's like, change this. I was the remote control. I would go change the channels.
Nice.
I remember laying on the floor on my stomach like this, watching the People's Choice Awards were on, and it's the night that they won for Beth.
Okay.
And they used those Kiss promo clips they sent to Japan of Love 'Em, Leave 'Em, Hard Luck Woman, and I Want You. And it was the, remember?
Yeah, of course.
And that's what I saw. And I was little, Brandon. I was little. I was like a little kid, man. And I remember just seeing that and just, it was slack-jawed. Just slack-jawed. And I remember my folks, I kind of think of them going, oh, shit. You know? But that was my first exposure to Kiss. And within a week, we went out and we got Destroyer.
Nice.
And honestly, I mean, I hate to sound like whatever, but there was no looking back. That's the way it was. It was just like, it changed my life. I mean, and you can be that little and people can go, how did you know? How'd you know? It's like, I don't know. I really don't know. It just something happened between, I will tell you, hearing the intro to Detroit Rock City before the song started, I didn't like it. I was like, what is this? And then by the time I got to God of Thunder and just there was just the juxtaposition
Absolutely.
that happened there that made so much sense and everything. And well, here we are in 2020 still talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's a pretty diverse album for as far as Kiss goes, because you got super heavy shit like God of Thunder, and then you got Beth, and then some like more of the like poppy type songs with like Flaming Youth and stuff like that. So it's
oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you know how much that I love songs like Flaming Youth and Sweet Pain? Like, do you recognize the way Gene sang on My Leather's Fit Tied Around Me, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't God of Thunderish. There was like there was a thing there that he didn't replicate on very many other records the way he sang that way. And there was something about it. Great Expectations. That's a different Gene voice.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
Gene is such an underrated vocalist, man, and
Yeah.
I mean, you can go listen to a solo album, go watch the MTV Unplugged, which the MTV Unplugged I think kind of showed how good musicians all of those guys were. So that was a cool thing about that.
Oh, I agree 1,000,000%. Let me tell you something. There was always a quote that Paul Stanley always said. He said, "If you can't play a song on acoustic guitar, it's not that great of a song." Do you remember hearing that?
For some reason, I think I should be familiar with that, and I think that sentiment has been replicated with other people as well. So I'm familiar with the term. I don't know if I stuck it to Paul Stanley or not.
Well, he said that a lot. I mean, and I know this because I follow Kiss, and I love Paul Stanley and Gene, and I love Kiss. I didn't always agree with that, though. I always thought Master of Puppets wouldn't sound that good on acoustic. The other things wouldn't sound that good on. But there was something when Kiss came out, and I was at the very first Kiss convention in Burbank when they did the first acoustic day.
Oh, wow.
And when they opened with Coming Home, I thought they put their heel on everyone's neck that ever did it, and they were like, fuck you guys, we're the baddest. They were so good at the acoustic thing. They were so good at it. And, it's just, I mean, Coming Home, God, even hearing the Plaster Caster acoustic was just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so good. And the thing is, they're good musicians, man, and they're good singers.
And they're all fantastic singers is the thing. And I feel like Eric Singer doesn't get enough credit for the pipes that dude has on him, man. I love hearing him sing that shit that he does in Kiss.
Sure. Yeah. No, I know. You know what? By the time they got Eric and everything went down, they were just about being completely all cylinders and all pistons blaring.
Yeah.
There's no room for anything that's not top level. I mean, they're top, Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Those acoustic performances are just awesome, man. And it was cool getting to see them do some songs that they normally didn't do on those convention tours. Like the thing that's always blown my mind with Kiss is if you ask any like hardcore fan, for the most part, Mr. Speed is always really high up on the list, man. And they've never played it they played it up until the solo at one of the conventions. And then I think they did the same thing in Japan on the 2002 or 3 tour, I think. But, so it was cool getting to see them do shit like that.
Absolutely. Oh, listen, like you, I'm a sucker for that stuff. It's like I understand why hits have to be played every night. I get it. I totally, completely, 8,000,000% understand it. But I am a sucker for the deep cuts.
Yeah.
Now how deep you go, all different with a lot of people. It's selfish. Love Her All I Can, yes. Escape from the Island.
One of the most underrated Ace Frehley solos ever is Love Her All I Can. I would love to see Ace do that live nowadays because that solo is just fucking awesome, man.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So we'll kind of segue off of Kiss a little bit, and because like you said, that was one of the first bands that really captivated you in the rock and roll world. So what was your first band like? Did you have guys you were jamming with in Topeka, or were you kind of a lone wolf?
Oh yeah. Now, it was weird. what's crazy is, let me explain to people who don't know, and I know that you do, but real quick, even though Topeka is the capital of Kansas, it still is very much a small town vibe and feel. Kansas City, which is, there's Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. It's separated by a river. It was 60 miles from us. And once you get there, that's where I had to go to every concert. My first Kiss show, my first Van Halen show, my first Aerosmith show, my first Metallica show, my first Iron. Everybody, me and my friends would get in a car and drive to Kansas City, Missouri, which is right next to us, right? Just being there and growing up in Topeka, we were considered a small town, even though it was the capital. Oh, there was such a huge thing of local bands, and being a kid and growing up, you had to play covers. And I wanted to play covers. I mean, I was never more excited to play the new Whitesnake song when it came out than any other guy in the band was in town. I was never more excited to play the new Kiss song when that came out.
Of course.
You know, and I had a couple friends in high school, junior high. We couldn't find a bass player, so I made one of my friends learn to play bass on keyboard.
Nice.
You know? and when I say made him, I mean I literally made him.
Like the Doors, they did all the bass.
They sure did. Yeah. But we were doing like The Last in Line by Dio, so it was da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. It was so funny. So we were doing stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. But man, I'm like any other kid that grew up in a small town, and I'm happy to say that I'm from a town and not a city, because even though that we weren't as a metropolis, everything reached me, and I eventually heard it. I mean, I watched, there's nothing like this. See the way you and I are talking live right now? Jimmy fucking Page did not do anything like this.
Absolutely.
Ted fucking Nugent did not do anything like this. Paul Stanley didn't do this. Vince Neil didn't do this. Gene Simmons didn't do this. I had to wait for a magazine to come in every week just to kind of run and grab it and hope that one of my heroes were in it, you know? And that's what Topeka was like. It was just, I was very hopeful. I was a happy, nervous kid. And the newsstand was my conduit to the rest of the world. And the only conduit, I was Seabiscuit. I mean, I was Blinders. I had, all I wanted to know about was rock and roll. And possibly Rocky. I loved Rocky.
Nice.
I love the Rocky movies. But all I wanted to know about was rock music, man. And it was Circus, Hit Parader, and Cream in the newsstand. It was Don Kirshner's rock concert at Midnight Special on TV. I just stay up. And when you're a little kid and you fall asleep early, I used to beg my mom and my sister to wake me up when it would start to make sure I didn't miss it.
Nice. And
those are just my favorite memories of Topeka, man. It was like, if there was someone that would bang on a drum or strum a guitar, I would grab them and pull them into my world and try and make them play with me. I had some bands and it was fun, but, you know, I had to leave eventually, like, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, some legendary performances on like Don Kirshner's show and the Midnight Special, you know, and that was a lot of people's first experiences to bands like Kiss, like when they came out and did fucking Black Diamond and shit like that. It was fantastic.
My God.
Yeah.
I know, and get this. Here's what's even funnier is being from Kansas, the band Kansas talks about their first experience on Don Kirshner's rock concert. And Don Kirshner was the guy that went and grabbed them and gave them their first record deal. And you look at their performance and they're like, you look at us playing, and then the camera scans over the screaming crowd. They go, in reality, there was no one there. They go, that was just TV magic. So the group Kansas played Carry On Wayward Son and Dust in the Wind to nobody, when in fact on TV on rock concert it was to a full house crowd.
Yeah.
But who gives a shit? Dude, that was 40 years ago. And 40 years ago, I thought that they were really playing to a full crowd. And by the way, just real quick, growing up in Kansas, anytime you got a piece of used gear, you know what it always said?
What's that?
Oh, this was one of the guys in Kansas had this.
That's great. You had to make an extra buck somehow, man.
I know,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Hell yeah. So moving forward a little bit, one of your first jobs in the industry was working in the mailroom at a label in Nashville. Talk to me a little about that and how that experience kind of played into the rest of your rock and roll career.
Oh man. So I moved to a country town. I was a rock and roll guy in a country town. And honestly, man, I don't know if I was too afraid to go to LA at that point, or figured that grunge was happening at that point and it didn't matter. But I came to Nashville and I went to Arista Records. And the best way to describe Arista at that time is, if you can imagine the 80s, the way it was when Poison, Motley Crue, LA Guns, when the 80s explosion happened, that was happening in Nashville with country artists. It was Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson, Pam Tillis, Steve Warner.
Those guys were absolute
massive
superstars in the 90s.
Yeah, so I was working at Arista Records for Tim Dubois, who ran the label. Mike Dungan was the head of marketing, who runs Universal Capital now. Alan Butler was the head of marketing. He went to run everything. And I was with all these people. And I literally learned about the music industry through the mailroom. I was the guy packing CDs and LPs and promo material and sending it to everywhere and meeting every mail guy on the planet around the United States and around the world. If we had if you were BMG, there was BMG in Europe. And I met everybody, and it took my awareness and threw it tenfold, because all of a sudden I learned there was so much more than just be signed to Atlantic, New York, or Arista, Nashville, or Polygram, Los Angeles. It was global.
Yeah.
It was global. And once I realized the technical, it was such a learning experience. I mean, like I said, I learned so much there just being around everybody every day. I mean, I was basically maybe a half an inch above the guy that swept the floors. But I learned so much in that period. It was just crazy. In a good way. Crazy good. Not crazy bad. It was crazy good. And I'm still grateful for being at a label and seeing all the cogs and the working parts. It was like, the mailroom, you were a scrub, and I was a scrub. But the thing was, I had my hands on everything from every department. I mean, and it taught me later, as I would get to LA and be in a band and try to push a band before you got signed. And once the band got signed, and I have all these ideas, and what are you talking, man, that's a good idea. What brought up that? And I would just think, well, I saw Arista do it with Brooks and Dunn when I was there 2 years ago. But seriously, that's what happened.
It was
great. It was great. And I still love Brooks and Dunn, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Boot Scoot and Boogie. Come on, man. Who can't get down to that?
Boot Scoot and Boogie was written by, what's his name from Asleep at the Wheel. That's not even their song.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
But the thing is, Ronnie Dunn wrote so many fucking hits. It's amazing. Ray Williams, I think, was from Asleep at the Wheel, wrote Boot Scoot and Boogie. But anyway, yes.
Okay, yeah, dude. You talk about those country artists in the 90s, and those guys were absolute fucking superstars.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys still have successful careers today. You got guys like Garth Brooks who can go and sell out any fucking stadium in the country instantly. Anytime that dude announces a show, within 5 minutes, it's basically fucking sold out. And it's funny you talk about those 90 country artists, because the first music video I ever remember watching in my entire life was on CMT, fucking Shania Twain's I Feel Like a Woman.
Whose bed have your boots been under?
But yeah, that's the first music video I ever remember hearing. And because my mom listened to country and rock, so I had exposures to both of those as a young child. First concert I ever went to was 38 Special opening up for the Charlie Daniels Band. Charlie Daniels was like my first musical obsession ever. I've actually, right next to me, I've still got the hat that I got from Pittsburgh in 2001 when I was like 6. Yeah, so that,
love it.
Absolutely, those country artists in the 90s were a lot like the 80s rock guys. So it's honestly,
no, they were. You're right. They were.
Honestly, you could say that they might have been a little bigger. It wouldn't be out of question to say that.
No, not at all. And the whole thing was like I said earlier, was, you know, everybody is there's a hair metal thing or a hard rock thing, whatever you want to call it, that's synonymous with Sunset Strip in the 80s.
Yeah.
Switch genres and switch it to Nashville in the early 90s. It's the same thing. And I lived here through it.
Absolutely.
And I know that's right.
So it's that stuff absolutely was on a whole other world. So while you were in Nashville, I think that was when you met Mr. Desmond Child. Talk to me about how that came about and what it's like, you know, having a somewhat working type relationship with him, because he actually hooked you up with the guys from Hair of the Dog.
He did. So I was, like I said, I was at that point, I left the mailroom at Arista, got moved to EMI Music Publishing, which is a huge worldwide music publisher. Desmond was a writer there, but he was signed through New York originally. And then Desmond relocated to Los Angeles. And at that point, before I even got to Nashville, even when I was still a kid in Topeka, Des was riding with everybody. Paul Stanley, Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, Cher, Joan Jett, John Bon Jovi, Richie Sambora, Alice Cooper, everyone that I loved. Everyone I loved. And if he wasn't writing for them, they were still cutting his songs. So I heard that he was coming to Nashville. He wanted to get on the country thing.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense as a songwriter in the 90s.
Yeah, at that point, yeah. So he comes to EMI. At that point, they were letting me sneak into the basement. Well, I wasn't sneaking in. They knew. It's just like if the studio's open, you can use it.
That's
great. So I used to go down there and cut demos in the basement at EMI. And Desmond showed up, and he heard something, and he walked into the tape room, and he said, "Hey, Blake played me a couple things you're doing. I manage a band in LA." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "You guys are cut from the same bolt of cloth. Would you be interested in coming out?" Yes. I didn't let him finish. Yes. So one of the cool things was, so Desmond got me out there. I go and meet the guys. I got there on a Thursday. I left on a Sunday, and we hung out and we just went for it for 3 days. We played a little bit. We went out a lot, and we hung out a lot, and we were just kindred spirits. You know, we just hand in glove. We fit together. And when they dropped me off at LAX that Sunday night, I was like, "I'll see you in 3 months." And I was back there in 2.
Nice.
And it was pretty funny because everybody at EMI was so supportive of me and very cool. I remember a guy named Sam Ramage was a song plugger there. And man, I was a tape copy guy. I was making nickels. I wasn't making any money. And Sam came up to me, and Sam was a publisher and worked a lot for the company and flew a lot. And he came and slapped back when TWA was in business still, and gave me all his points to fly back to LA.
Nice.
And another guy named Blake Chansey, who I'm still friends with to this day. And I'm still friends with Sam too. I just don't see him as much, but like Blake, just to make sure that I was going to leave, walked up to me one day in the tape room, and he goes, "By the way, you're fired."
Oh, man.
I go, what? What? You're fired. I go, "Why?" He goes, because if we don't fire you, we're not certain you're going to go, and you have to go.
That is fantastic. That's
Yeah.
that's absolutely awesome. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah. And I was just surrounded by good people. I was a long-haired kid in the short-haired town at that time.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just, you know, I had no family here, so they were my new family. And Sam and Blake, especially Celia Frehley, but they very, very much took care of me. But seriously, Sam gave me the miles, and Blake came in and fired me, and they were just like, "Get the fuck out of here."
That's
because
great.
Desmond already told him. He's like, "I'm bringing this fucking guy to Los Angeles."
That's
and
awesome.
they knew that I was kind of square peg round hole. They're like, "Why did you come here anyway?" But I got along with everyone. I love country music. I grew up on different country music like Marty Robbins and Charlie Pride and Johnny Cash and that kind of stuff. But
the good stuff.
well, I think it is.
Yeah.
You know, Haggard.
Dude, yeah, Merle, Waylon, Johnny, Hank Sr. I'm a big fan of all of that shit, man.
Yeah. So the guys were just kind of like, "What are you doing here?" And then once they saw that kind of happen, that door swing, they gave me airfare and fired me.
That's great. Kind of like Mama Bird pushing her babies out of the tree.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
That's fantastic.
Worked out great. And yeah. I'm still friends with all them. You know, I'm still friends with all them. They're great people. It's awesome. And I'm back in this town. And, you know, we all when we get together annually to hang for just a little bit, we all laugh about, and we retell this story over and over all the time.
That's great. And it's so cool when you can keep those connections with people over X amount of years and still get along just like you did in the first day.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, you know what? When I remember when Hair of the Dog, we first was starting to hit, and Cadillac Jack really hit. I remember we were touring and going through Dallas. And I remember the guys I told you, the guy that gave me the guy that fired me and the guy that gave me the airfare, they jumped on a plane together and flew down to Dallas to see me for our first Hair of the Dog show. We opened for Rat.
Nice. That's great.
They got there after the shows. They got lost, but they came nonetheless.
Nice.
But it was great.
Yeah.
Nice people.
So once you got to LA, was that when you met Doc McGee for the first time? Or was that when you came back to Nashville?
Years later.
Okay.
Doc didn't happen until Nashville. The whole time I was in Los Angeles, I'd met everyone in KISS.
Oh, wow.
They didn't remember me, but I remembered them.
Of course.
and every time but the thing was, once I got signed, I started being in their same circle all the time. Like I was at every party, or I was backstage everywhere, or I was whatever. And I started becoming, I started becoming that guy that like, oh yeah. You know what I mean?
You become
an acquaintance, but not a friend.
They recognize that you're in the same circle.
Oh yeah, that guy, that kind of thing. The Doc thing didn't happen until I got back here. And this is not a bullshit story. I was working in a publishing company on Music Row. I wasn't touring. And I was walking down the street to this place called Virginia's Market one day. And this moving truck was backed up to this office building. And all this KISS shit was just coming off the movie. I'm not shitting you. KISS busts, a pinball machine. And I'm walking down the street to go get, a fucking Yahoo and a turkey sandwich.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? So I just walked in the building.
Nice.
Guess who's moving in?
I would assume Mr. Doc McGee.
That's where it started.
That's fantastic. And
I said, what the fuck? I said, what the fuck are you doing here? And he goes, who the fuck are you? And here we are, all these years later.
That's great. I'd never heard that story before. That's awesome.
I mean, it was like KISS pinball machine, KISS busts, Kiss Nacho Bowl, Kiss Margarita, all this shit.
That's fantastic.
I'm like, what is all this Kiss shit going in here? No, that's what it was.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And Doc's who ended up getting the Big Rock Show on the Kiss cruise. And one thing I wanted to ask you about when the Big Rock Show was playing the Kiss cruise is I asked Jeremy about this Monday night. I think it was Kiss Cruise 4 when you guys are playing I Stole Your Love. And none other than fucking Paul Stanley runs up and steals your fucking microphone from you and sings the second verse. I want to know what was going on in your head during that instance, man.
Okay, I knew they were there because it was nothing new for those guys to come watch us.
Yeah.
They were always very nice and very complimentary. Always. I remember we were doing the Sail Away show and they asked us to do it specifically. So the entire ship is out there. And we did what we were supposed to do. And I started to sing the second verse. And all I can compare it to is if you're playing hockey and someone checks you. And for me to get ready to go, and Paul came up and just shouldered me. Pow.
That's fucking
started
great.
Singing. And the funny thing was, I had about a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds to step up to sing the second verse after the first chorus to hear this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, eruption. Thinking, we're killing it. Oh, that's what it is.
And I love the video where you can see Paul on the side of the stage during the beginning of the song.
And he's walking.
Somebody's in like mid-conversation with him and he just kind of like puts his hand on their shoulder and cuts the conversation off and heads to the stage. It's very cool. And man, what an experience for that to fucking happen, man.
What a Paul Stanley moment. But I mean, what a Paul Stanley moment, you know?
And people don't get to jam with Kiss, man. That's never been their stick, is that they jam with other people and people jam with them. So to have an instance like that where Paul comes on stage with you that's fucking killer, man.
Yeah, between the small circle that we run in as far as band people go, we've talked about that a lot. The only person in the history of Kiss that ever got to play with Kiss is Joe Perry.
Yeah,
and that happened with Kiss. That happened when Aerosmith and Kiss toured together. Kiss has never been a jam band.
Yeah.
Ever, right? But you know what? It doesn't give nor take anything away from them. Neither was Van Halen. Who did you see play with Van Halen?
Nobody.
Who did you see play with Led Zeppelin?
Nobody. Yeah.
Who did you see play with Motley Crue? Exactly.
Nobody.
But the thing was, you would see different people from different bands get up and jam with people, but Kiss was never one of those people, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, knowing that Joe did it, part of the pride that me and Phil and Jer have always, the pride that we have is, I can honestly tell you, without anything being total truth, we played with half a Kiss.
Well, 3 if you count Paul coming on stage at the Big Rock Show. I know Phil wasn't on the stage when that happened, but if you count that, you and Jeremy.
Phil's there. Phil watched him walk on stage, and there's video of Phil pointing at Paul when he walks up, going, "Look it up, you'll find it. It's on YouTube." I love it. I show it to Phil all the time. But you know, you're right. Paul, the Kiss doesn't jam with people, and it's just wow.
Yeah, so now you guys just got to get Peter to show up at an Ace gig and get him on stage, and you and Jeremy will have played with all 4 members. One of the funniest stories that I've heard from your guys' band and Ace is Matt Starr tells the story of whenever they were recording Origins Volume 1 and they were doing Fire and Water, and because that's Matt playing drums on it. Scott was in the video, but the studio track is Matt playing. And
right.
So whenever they were talking about finalizing the track, Ace was just talking to Matt, and he's like, I got to get somebody to play bass on this. Who should I play bass? And Matt just kept being like, I think you should get Gene to play bass on it. And I love that story because then it would have just been Kiss with Matt Starr on drums.
Oh, man, Greg, could you imagine?
Yeah, and
I know.
They killed that track too, man. That might be my favorite track off of Origins Volume 1 is Ace and Paul doing Fire and Water. It fit Paul's vocal range perfectly.
And Paul is such a Paul Rogers fan.
Yeah, which all those guys are. Gene's not shy about Bad Company either. So that's great that they did that together.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's
good
stuff. Hey, listen, anytime that we're in a room and someone from Kiss is in a room, we will always say yes, please.
Nice. So I asked Jeremy and Phil this, and I wanted to ask you as well because I might get a different answer out of each of you. And this is kind of just one of those fun questions, because like I said, these are low pressure interviews, and I call them interviews lightly because it's just us hanging out. So touring with Gene Simmons with his solo band, I want to know what were your top 3 favorite songs that you got to do with him, because you guys did a shit ton of songs on that tour, man. So I want to know what Ryan Cook's 3 favorite songs to do with Gene were.
I can tell you my top 2 immediately. Number 1 was Got Love for Sale, which we did in Cleveland away.
Yeah, I think all 3 of you have mentioned that one. Yeah.
Because it had never been performed by Kiss anywhere, ever, at any time. And it was one of my favorite tracks off the record when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
Next was Charisma.
Nice.
Again, off of Dynasty, that was more my favorite song than I Was Made for Loving You.
Of course, yeah.
I absolutely loved it. I loved it. I loved Hard Times. I loved Magic Touch. Oh my God. But Charisma, there was something about it. And you know what the thing that made it so awesome to play Charisma was with my friends, with Phil and Jer and Fitz, was not so much it was my favorite song, but on the courses, just the way we sang together.
Dude, that's what I was saying to Phil and Jeremy is your guys' backing vocals on like Got Love for Sale, because one of my favorite parts about that song are the shadowing oh no's right before the chorus. And you guys fucking killed those background vocals every time, man. And on Charisma as well. And one of my personal favorites that you guys did was I off The Elder. And same thing.
Oh, yeah.
The backing vocals, you guys just absolutely slaughtered those every night, man. So good job to you guys on that. That's because, as you know, background vocals are, like the cherry on top of you being a performer. If you can sing harmonies and backups, everybody wants you in their band.
Oh, if you can sing.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, if there's a musician that plays great but can't sing, the guy that sings pretty great, but the guy that plays pretty great but can sing is probably going to get the gig.
Oh, yeah, every time, man.
Vocals mean absolutely everything. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. I think probably my 3rd favorite song of the top 3 was probably Almost Human.
Nice. Yeah.
Man,
which you guys did all of those right off the bat in Cleveland at that first gig.
And the thing was we never really rehearsed with Gene. It was all left up to us to have our shit together.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, there was something really ominous. It didn't scare me. People always say, oh, I was so scared when I saw Gene. I was never scared, as a little kid seeing Kiss. People say that a lot, and that's fine. I was never scared. But there was always something ominous about Almost Human, about the tone. I didn't know about tone or anything when I was little. I didn't know about stuff. I just knew that it sounded weird, and it made me feel kind of, and playing that song with him. And again, when we did that, all 3 of us together.
Yeah.
Man, honestly, we could have played that song alone, and I would have loved it. It's just one of the ones. So Charisma, Almost Human, and Got Love for Sale probably are my 3.
Nice. Love Gun sits super high on my Kiss catalog, so all those tunes are good for me.
Yeah.
And
watching you is a special spot for me. Just that riff.
Yeah, and Jeremy told this story on I think it was the Hotter Than Hell. We did a Hotter Than Hell episode, which was the very first episode on here for it was on its 46th anniversary. And he talks about playing
Right.
Watching You with Gene and says after he would hit that high note in the second verse, how he'd look at all you guys and like smile. Yeah, like
Yeah.
after he hit that note.
The thing where he rolls his eyes back in his head. You just see the whites of his eyes, and he'd be like, "Oh, he loved it every night."
That's fucking fantastic, and dude, he fucking killed that all the vocals. That's one thing that just even back in the day, Gene being an underrated vocalist. Talk about the guy being 70 years old and still sounding exactly like he did way back in the day, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't miss a step.
He doesn't, and forget age. I mean, he's outrunning all of us.
Oh, yeah, man.
He really is busier than all of us by choice.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and dude, especially still, like, him and Paul are in great shape, man, because, dude, putting on all that fucking equipment, man, and strutting around stage 4 nights a week.
It's like armor. It's like armor.
Man. I couldn't do that, and fuck, I'm 50 years younger than them.
I know, right? I know, it's crazy. Good for them.
Yeah, so kind of staying on that same subject, I'm not going to ask you your top 3, but playing with Ace Frehley, I want to know if you could plug one song into Ace's set, any song, what would be your choice?
I would love to do Talk to Me.
Oh, nice. Well, hopefully you'll get a chance in the near future to play that live in some capacity.
Two Sides of the Coin.
Yeah.
Both of those, man, you know what? I'll tell you what. He does a really good job of covering the Ace Frehley bases. I mean, he really does, man. We do Shock Me. We do Cold Gin. We do Strange Ways. We do, I mean, he does it.
Yeah.
That's stuff like Talk to Me, Torpedo Girl, I would love to have back.
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite things about when you guys did Torpedo Girl on the cruise was when you guys played it outside for the first time.
Yeah.
During the intro, when that music's playing, you can see Jeremy on stage just like chanting along with the music. And it's just so awesome to see the genuine excitement of you guys in the band playing these songs. Because you guys are not shy about the fact that, yeah, we might be in Gene and Ace's band, but we're still just as big of Kiss fans as anybody else is.
Fans.
So, yeah.
Fans. And I've told everyone a million times over, man. It's like before anything, as much as I'm lucky to talk to guys like you and everything, I'm not talking to you as a player from one of those guys' bands. I'm talking to you as a fan. And also, man, those smiles, that shit's 100% real. I promise you that.
Yeah, it's man, and I think that's something that the fans really like about you guys being in both bands is that you respect the position, and it's not like they just went into an office and pulled 3 guys out to come do this with them. There is a reason.
Absolutely not.
There's a reason the fans enjoy you so much, and there's a reason that you guys are on stage with these guys. So congratulations to you guys.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I never got to come see you guys live with Gene. I've seen countless videos. I watched a bunch from that Cleveland show all the time. But I've got to come see you guys, as you know, twice with Ace and Whitesburg and here in Lexington when you did Manchester. And you guys just put on a fantastic show, and it's not like you guys are going through the motions. You genuinely enjoy what you're doing.
Thank you. We love it. We love it. And we get to meet cool people like you. So why is it not great? It's awesome.
Yeah, man. And you guys playing with Ace is kind of what reconnected me and Jeremy. So I've known Jeremy since I was about 13. I met him when I was living in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, when he was playing with the Shazam. And me and him always stayed. We were always friends on social media and everything, but might not always talk for a couple of years. But then when everything started picking up and then playing with Ace and all that, the Whitesburg show is really whenever me and him got to like reconnect, and it's kind of blossomed into this whole thing. Now we got a project together with fucking Todd Kearns from Slass's band and Matt Starr, who's a fantastic drummer. So it's just when you put everything into perspective, none of it's to be taken lightly.
That's right. That's right. And we're all happy, man. We're all lucky to be able to do this. It's great. And you know what? And the cool thing is like as much of a shit show as 2020 was, look what you came out of it with.
Yeah, I got tons of new friends. I've got an awesome band, and it's, you know, there's silver lining to everything. Yeah, man, I can't wait for everybody to hear the rest of the album. I'll send you some sneak peeks after we get off of here. But
please,
yeah,
I love it.
There's silver lining to everything, and you know, I think
there is.
Neil Davis has put it very well with the Christmas 2020. Because you guys are doing the acoustic show that first night, and it's the sell away from 2020 is kind of the concept. And
yeah, right.
I love that because, you know, even as crappy as this year has been, we still have something to look forward to, and there's always silver linings. So it's going to be a good time. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. I thank you so much for coming on here. Before we get off of here, if you can, brief everybody on what you're going to be doing at the Christmas Expo.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you know, Brandon's going to be there, so that's amazing. This will be a lot of fun. I'll be playing with the Talisman. As he said, we're doing a sell-away acoustic show. I'm not sure what songs we're doing yet, but it'll be a surprise for both of us. We're doing Rock and Roll Over in its entirety, front to back.
It's fucking awesome.
Which is going to be great.
Yeah.
Enough's Enough's going to be there. Bruce Kulick and Todd Kearns are going to be streaming from live from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Eddie Trunk's going to host the whole thing. Jean Beauvoir. You know, I can't tell you what songs we're doing, but Jean's been such a huge part of the Kiss history, as we say.
Yeah, and he played on a few songs in the 80s as well.
You'll be playing with Kurt, which will be amazing. There's a Led Zeppelin tribute band. There's a Kiss tribute band. It's Led Zeppelin and Kiss America, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Man, Philip Schaus is going to do his Schaus Rules show, a la the Mike Douglas show vibe.
Yeah.
Which would be really cool. You know, I'm probably forgetting stuff.
I think there's a guy named Gary Shutt doing the Van Halen set early in the morning on Saturday.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And of course, we're all big Van Halen fans, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
can't wait. And the cool thing is, we'll all be there together. It's going to be safe. The capacity has been limited via COVID, unfortunately. But if you can't be there and you're in Australia or Japan or whatever, Meat Hook Live.
And it's only 12.
Go there and watch the whole thing. And you can view the show 48 hours after you purchase the link. So you got time. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I want to get some live streaming tickets for myself, not only so I can go rewatch it, but so I can try and win that fucking axe base that Neil's giving away.
No kidding. That looks great.
Yeah, and I'll tell you who I think I'm the most jealous of during all of this is Mr. fucking Schaus, because he's going down on Monday. He gets to spend the whole fucking week down there. Yeah, so he gets like a little vacation before all of this starts. So kudos to Phil for, you know, getting to go enjoy his week next week.
Phil will be our man on the scene beginning Monday.
Yeah, so he's our eyes and ears in Florida.
I said let's put in the work and ask for like daily updates.
Oh yeah. I want an update every 30 minutes from Phil. What's happening?
Yeah.
Still sitting by the pool. Still sitting by the pool. Sitting by the pool. That's exactly what it's going to be.
Still getting the tan. I love it.
Well, Ryan, dude, thank you so much for coming on here and hanging out with me. And I look forward to us getting to hang out next weekend down in Florida. And me and you can say goodbye off the air here in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and end the show. And thank you guys for tuning in. The last member of the Talisman tonight, and you heard it all about all the events for Christmas 2020. Meathook.live, Christmas2020.com. Those are the two websites you need to remember to go get all your information. And thank everybody for tuning in.